The EP Podcast. Heard everywhere podcasts can be found, and always at theeppodcast.com.
John Dwyer sitting down here at the 9-foot homemade oak bar. How are you, John?
I'm doing great, thanks.
All right, so you are a pickleball instructor, player, professional, advocate, somebody who seems to be really into a sport that I hear about but I never try. Tell me about this.
Okay, I would say I'm an addict is probably number one.
An addict?
Yeah,
I love that.
Definitely a pickleball addict. And I do all the above. You know, I teach lessons through the Park District in Evergreen Park. I enter tournaments, I play for fun, I play all over the Chicago area, and I've been doing it for about 2 years, and it's the most I played every sport you can imagine, and I was terrible at every one of them, and I got into pickleball and actually got pretty good at it. I'm the world's okayest pickleball player.
Well, I think it's funny because it sounds to me, as somebody from the outside hearing about it, and pickleball's becoming a thing in Evergreen Park. That's why I'm having you on. That there's a lot of people who play it, a lot of people who play it locally, and a lot of people play it because it's not, I don't want to say it's not a hard sport, but it's a sport that people that are getting older can be very good at. It's a sport that people who have not been very successful at other sports can suddenly be really good at this one. And I wonder what kind of sport is it really? Because generally, if you're a good athlete at one thing, you're good at the other thing. And I keep hearing pickleball as being described as something like you may suck at everything, but you could be really good at pickleball.
Yeah, well, yeah, and that's kind of the thought behind it. But in reality, there's players at all different levels and all different ages. And I would call the sport accessible more than anything else because I played with, and beat kids in their 20s, and then I've gotten beaten badly by people in their 80s. And so...
That's embarrassing.
Well,
I'm embarrassed for you.
Thank you. Nobody was embarrassed. It was at a tournament.
You had me at I should try pickleball until you just told me that an 80-year-old may beat me in a sporting event. My dad isn't even 80 yet, and if he beat me at something head-to-head, I'd be embarrassed at this point.
Well, it was my first tournament. It was actually in Evergreen Park, and it was sponsored by Mayor Burke and over at Veterans, and... I got to the finals, but my partner and I got beat by two 80-year-olds. So
wow.
It really taught us a lesson.
It was your partner's fault, right?
Well, of course it is.
Yes, okay.
It always is, yeah.
John, and everything that you're listening to here on the EP Podcast this week and every week is brought to you by the First National Bank of Evergreen Park. I am a proud user of so many services at the First National Bank of Evergreen Park in that iconic building at the corner of 95th and Pulaski. I have my checking account there. It has no overdraft fees. That actually worked out for me the other day. I thought that a check had cleared. It had not. I went and paid another bill. I suddenly saw that I was in the negative. I didn't get hit at all. Everything just got cleared up once everything was put in there correctly. I also benefit from the free ATMs anywhere you use one. I was outside of Evergreen Park at a festival for Southside Pod in Blue Island, and I needed cash. And I walked into a bar and used one of those ATMs with the $5 fee on the ATM. And guess what? The First National Bank of Evergreen Park puts $5 back in my account to make that ATM free. That's right. Any ATM, anywhere. Paired with their mobile banking tools and award-winning customer service, switch to a true community bank and get great customer service from the fine folks at the First National Bank of Evergreen Park, member FDIC. So, John, is pickleball a singles sport? Is it a doubles sport?
Well, there are people that play single, and usually more for practice and for maybe if two friends that are real super competitive with each other, that type of thing. But 90% of it is doubles.
Okay.
And it's the most open play sport that you can imagine. So in other words, I can walk into any pickleball court, as long as I have my paddle with me, then I can jump right in and play with whoever's there. And whether it's in Evergreen Park or anywhere in the city or anywhere else.
What's the paddle run for? Show the paddle to that camera over there. If you're listening to this on audio, don't worry, the video will get out and we'll share it on social media. But there's not a cover on that. Like when I first looked across the bar, I was like, okay, that looks like it's a cover, but instead that's just a one big solid piece. It's not like a tennis racket where you have the strings and there's air and stuff like that.
Right.
It's like walking around with an actual paddle. I mean, to describe it to somebody who can't see it, I would say it's a very modern looking version of the kind of paddle that the nuns would use on you way back in the day when they were still able to paddle you.
Yeah, I went to Catholic high school and I had a math teacher who had something
like that.
Yeah.
Now it's turned into a pickleball.
Exactly. Right.
Do you get a little PTSD when you look at it?
A little bit. We'd put math problems on the board, and he would, once we were done, he'd say, "Okay, Mr. Dwyer, you want to bet your bottom?" And he'd slap his paddle, like that, and I'd be like,
and
okay.
now you play pickleball with it. That's amazing. And then the ball looks like something I would throw to my dog in the backyard. It's one of those wiffle balls. It's not exactly a wiffle ball. Like that's the one, if you were playing wiffle ball with that, you would hit a lot of home runs. Like that's the home run ball when you're screwing around playing wiffle ball in the backyard.
No, absolutely. And
so it flies. That ball moves.
It
if you
moves
hit
fast.
It right. Yeah.
It does move fast, and the game is actually very fast. Especially in doubles because a lot of the game is close up to the net. So the majority of the game should be theoretically played right near the net. So you get people pounding it back and forth to each other.
Yeah.
And like, for example, I play over at the tennis club sometimes in Evergreen at 91st in California. And we have people from all over the city that come there, mostly young guys. And they can just knock this thing like crazy, and so you have to be quick, you have quick hands in order to, keep up with them and that kind of stuff.
You say that and immediately I think to myself, okay, what are the most common injuries at pickleball? Is it getting whacked in the face with one of the balls, okay, which you don't want, or are you pulling certain things? Like what do you see on the court for the person that's nervous, they're going to injure themselves? Because every year, and it's coming up very soon, I will be playing 16-inch softball with a bunch of middle-aged men. And inevitably, you're going to see guys running up the first base line, grabbing their hamstring, hurting their ankle. I saw one guy break his wrist one time. I mean, that's what I think about now in my 40s. How will I injure myself doing this?
Well, and that's a great question because pickleball injuries are kind of a thing now, right? Because, 5 years ago, nobody ever heard of a pickleball injury.
Right.
So now, when I teach lessons, first thing I tell people, don't run backwards. If you run backwards, that's the biggest source of injury in pickleball. So people fall backwards, they fall to the side, they'll twist their knee when they're running backwards and that type of thing. So I teach them to run side on an angle so that they don't, they have a lot better balance and that type of thing. So that causes the most injuries is running backwards. And the other thing is not having the right type of shoes. So in pickleball, a lot of people come there with running shoes.
Right.
And running shoes are designed to go forward and back, and that's it. Whereas pickleball is a lateral game. 90% of it is lateral. So you're going to be moving side to side, so you want to have court shoes of some kind. They sell pickleball shoes at a premium, but they're the same thing as tennis shoes.
Something like a tennis shoe for a tennis court, something along those lines. So now you're teaching people. Where are you teaching them? How do they get a lesson from you? And then I want to kind of get into what you do in the lessons. But
okay,
I know that you're doing that. You're going to be teaching people in Evergreen Park pickleball.
Right.
This is a regular thing. So give me the breakdown on that real quick.
Okay. I started last summer, and we're going to have more lessons during the summer over at Duffy. Duffy was just resurfaced last year. New nets. It's beautiful. There's lights there. And
they have actual pickleball courts there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They're lined for pickleball and tennis. So I have lessons there during the summer. I did last summer, and they were real popular. And then I have during the fall and winter, the new Maplewell Center. We just started up lessons at the new Maplewell Center over on 33.
Is that an indoor court?
That's indoor court.
Okay.
Beautiful, brand new floors. I mean, the whole facility is gorgeous. And I'm actually having this Friday and Saturday lessons there, beginner lessons there. And I teach Pickleball 101. So it's a 2-day thing. And what I do, 2 hours each, and what I do is really teach people so that when they're done with the class, they feel very comfortable, walking into anywhere and playing a game.
So that's what I was going to ask you. How long does it take me to learn the game of pickleball? Because some games, you can pick them up pretty quickly.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I mean, like I can get the basics in a lot of games. Baseball can be a little bit more intricate. My kid is now playing water polo, and I still don't know what the hell is going on. All right. He seems to understand it more than me, and he tells me every once in a while, like, I'm still learning. Yeah. Okay. And so, like, some games a little bit more complex. Yeah. Is this one a simple one? Like, after a couple lessons, I'm ready to go?
Oh, yeah. It's simple in some ways in that, the actual game itself is simple to play. It's a combination of ping pong, tennis, and badminton, right? It's a badminton-sized court. You're using a paddle that's like an oversized ping pong paddle, and then a lot of same movements as tennis, similar movements as tennis. So it's a kind of a combination of the three of them. So that part's easy to learn because most people have played one of those.
Right.
And
like, I'm imagining this would be if I shrunk myself to a smaller size and stood on a ping pong table. That's what it kind of feels like. When I look at the paddle, I look at the ball, like if there was a shrinking machine, like in Willy Wonka, and I shrunk myself down and stood on the ping pong table, like this is what it would be like.
Well, kind of, you could fit 3 pickleball paddle courts onto one tennis court.
Okay.
So it is. It's definitely smaller. But the thing is the rules are a little bit wonky, I call them. They were originally designed to be just a polite game so that everybody has a fair chance. And there's a lot of, because so much of the game is social, there's a lot of like little rules that make it a little bit less aggressive than, let's say, tennis or some of the other sports out there.
Right, because people get aggressive.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Evergreen Park is a competitive sports town. I don't think people, like, if you really aren't paying attention, you might not realize this, but if you look at it, I mean, they're training the kids for football, competitive football, very young here, and they get huge success with all the programs, even at the grammar school level around here. This is like a baseball and softball mecca.
Absolutely.
Where you have kids that are going off and playing in major programs and in college, and they're major contributors for championships at the high school level, and you've got pro baseball players. And I would say that you see an awful lot of it. You've got some great basketball players that come out of Evergreen Park. So Evergreen Park has been kind of a little sports mecca here on the south side.
Absolutely.
And now pickleball seems to be taking off as the recreational thing for adults to do.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. I always contended that Evergreen Park has the most pro baseball players per capita of any town in Chicago.
For sure. Don Paul's been on this show a couple times, and he laughs about it. He's like, I'm not even the best baseball player to come out of this town.
Yeah.
Like, that's not, like, I mean, there's a lot that has come out of here, and I think there's also a competitive edge.
For sure.
You see it. People are friendly. People play to win.
Yeah.
So you're telling me this sport is almost built to stay friendly.
Absolutely. Well, it's designed to promote social interaction, and it's designed to promote kind of a polite way of being aggressive, if you can imagine that. So I'll give you an example. So if your opponent hits a ball to your side of the court and it hits the line, it's your job on your side to determine whether the ball is in or out.
Oh, okay.
And there's no argument. Nobody ever. You may grumble a little bit under your breath if you think it was in, but your opponent.
There's no ref.
Yeah, there's no ref, and so it's all self-ref. And even some of the other rules are just designed to make it a little bit less aggressive. Now, the way it's developed over is it's competitive without having that extra aggressive tone to it. And I played in rec volleyball leagues, for example, where if you missed a shot, anything, if you made a bad play, people are giving you the side eye. You know what I mean? Like, what are you doing? Pickleball's not like that in general. Most people are really cool with new players, with different skill level players, with different age players.
That's always my concern.
Yeah.
Because when I play a sport recreationally, sometimes I'm like, well, I'm not good enough to be doing this. That's the reason why I stopped playing basketball for fun in my 30s. One, I was going to die, and two, I was terrible.
Yeah.
When the other team is cheering when you score, you suck. I just want you to know that. That's when I knew it was time to hang it up. All right, so pickleball lessons here in Evergreen Park. John is teaching people.
Yes.
And I'm sure is on the courts every once in a while, whooping some butt and showing that's why he's the instructor. But again, if you want to get lessons, is there an email, a website? What's the easiest way?
Probably to call the rec department.
Okay.
And it's on the website. You can sign up on the website. And then you also have, they'll sign you up right over the phone, either one. I do have a couple of events coming up. Can I
go for it. Plug them.
Okay. So on June 7th, we have a pizza and pickleball social, and that's going to be at Duffy, weather permitting. Otherwise, we'll move it to Maplewell. And that's going to include pizza, a couple of beers, and some fun pickleball with a lot of Evergreen Park people. That's from 6 to 9 on June 7th, 6 to 9 p.m. Then on June 14th to 15th, I've got beginner lessons. Once again at Duffy, weather permitting, otherwise we'll move it to Maplewell Center. And then on June 22nd, we have in the morning, 10 to 12 a.m., 10 a.m. to 12, we have pickleball and donuts, and that's once again at Duffy or Maplewell. So more social events. And then on June 1st, I'm doing one with the youth recreation department. We're going to have a pickleball and donuts event for the kids on June 1st at 10 a.m. too. So,
all right.
Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun.
It sounds awesome. Again, if you want to learn more about this, first off, the rec department has a section online where you can schedule things and see the entire calendar, evergreenpark-ill.com, or you can call the rec department at 708-229-3373. My friend, John Dwyer, thank you so much for coming down here. You told me that you listened to the show. You've always wondered what the bar looked like. It sounds like you enjoyed it. Is it everything you expected it to be?
Absolutely. Very, very impressed. Yes.
All right. Well, you're welcome back anytime. And I promise myself I will get out there and try pickleball this summer. So you're going to see me.
Sign up for a lesson.
Building relationships, supporting the community, and service. These are the things that Country Financial stands for. They're more than just an office you may pass by as you drive through Evergreen Park. They're neighbors who lend a helping hand and support the fabric of your community, including charitable organizations, sports, financial education, and civic organizations. And since Country is already your neighbor, they want to get together and chat. Call your local Country Financial representative, Mike Thauer, today at 708-425-1559 to talk about the things that are important to you and how he can help you protect them. It's now time for your EP podcast, Word on the Street, brought to you by Spoke and Vine Wine Bar and Bottle Shop, northeast corner of 95th and Kedzie. I was in there last week. I tried a pinza. Not exactly a pizza, definitely not a flatbread. Really good. Totally shareable. The one I had the red sauce, the pepperoni, sopressata, artichoke, red onion, mozzarella, Parmesan cheese on a chewy, hand-stretched pinza crust. They even do a gluten-free if you want one of those. Paired it with a couple of great wines. There are all kinds of selections there. If you find something you like, you just buy it in the bottle shop on the way out the door. See more at SpokenVineWines.com. The Evergreen Park Farmers Market is open for business each and every Thursday, 8 a.m. until 1 p.m. at Yukich Field, 88th and Kedzie. It's going on now all the way through October. Right now, throughout the month of May, experience all things spring. Spring plants, flowers, and more, all brought to you by the Office of Citizen Services. There's still a chance you can get in on the May Paint and Sip Party being put on by the Rec Department this Thursday, the 16th, 6 p.m. until 9 p.m. at the Community Center. You got to be 21 and over. $40 includes all paint, supplies, wine, beer, and light appetizers. And remember to pre-register for Waste Not's curbside compost collection service. And until June 15th, there's an amnesty program for overdue citations. All of this was talked about on the previous episode with Mayor Kelly Burke. You can get that on demand anywhere podcasts can be found, and always at the eppodcast.com. Joining me down here at the 9-Foot Homemade Oak Bar, I'm bringing in Colleen Klimczak. She's a local Evergreen Park gal. We've heard her a bunch of times here on this show. She's a professional organizer. She has her own podcast, Your Organized Life, which is also on the network. You will see her sing at Most Holy Redeemer. I believe she's on a school board around here as well, right?
I am everywhere.
You're everywhere.
I'm everywhere. And I'm at Martyr sometimes, too.
That's right. You're everywhere.
I really am everywhere.
Yeah. Colleen is Miss Evergreen Park.
I don't know about that, but I love it here, so it's okay.
So I don't know if you noticed when you came around the back that there's already a cooler, a bunch of chairs, a couple of buckets.
It's a party waiting to happen.
Right. So we're going to throw Audrey her graduation party for Mother Macaulay. And I have to do this party.
Of course you do.
For several reasons.
Okay.
One, my braggy reason. The girl won so many scholarships that I think she's going to go to the University of Illinois for her architecture degree because she's been accepted into that college for basically free.
Oh, my God.
And that's a lot of hard work on her end that got her there.
She's awesome.
And it's absolutely incredible. And Dad is just in shock over the whole thing. I had to call the financial aid office. I was like, is this real?
Are you kidding?
It's incredible. Hats off to her. Amazing. So I have to throw her a party now.
Yes.
Because she saved me so much money.
Really big one.
Right. The other thing is, this is the class, and I think that every parent throwing a party for a high school graduate this year knows exactly what I'm talking about, whether it be Evergreen Park or Brother Rice or Marist or, in Audrey's case, Mother Macaulay. This is the class that had their 8th grade year ripped away in 2020 when COVID hit.
Yep.
This is the one that missed out on the 8th grade trips and missed out on all the fun dances and missed out on the graduation and the parties and so much. This is the class that was old enough to realize that it didn't make sense that something that wasn't going to hurt their age group took so many things away while their parents were sneaking out to speakeasies that summer and drinking. And you know who you are because I would see your Facebook post about everybody stay in your house and then I would see you out drinking. You know who you are. Okay.
Oh, so do I.
This class remembers you. And this is the class that got ripped off of everything. And I get reminded of it constantly. So I have to have a party for her.
Yes, you do.
Because
she missed out 4 years ago. Big time.
Right. She's owed it. I have to have a party for her. Wow. So and the reason I wanted you down here is I need help.
Okay.
Because I've never thrown a party this size on my own. Okay. This is something her mom used to handle. Okay. And now I'm doing this. And like I already like here's the deal, folks. I have nothing against any catering places. I as of now, I think I'm going to B-Rocks, Baracos, because it's
they just
really
did Mother's Day for us yesterday. They did a lovely job.
It's easy for me to read their catering menu. This is not a slight on anybody else. Very easy for me to figure out how much per person it's going to cost.
Straightforward.
Very, and it's like that's what they do. They specialize in it, and I'm kind of like, I used to go to Frankie's in Oak Lawn, but now he's only in Tinley Park.
Oh no!
And his website is already telling me he's giving me a charge for using a credit card, like I've got the cash for all the catering.
Stop it!
And then he's charging me for coming outside of Tinley. Like there's a bigger delivery charge the further away you live from. No. And I'm like, okay, well, you were fun when you were in Oak Lawn.
Yeah,
I'm at Baracos
we can't be bothered. That's crazy.
But if you have a place I haven't thought of.
If I have a place.
No, not you.
Oh, okay,
the people
good.
out there.
All right.
Hit me up through the eppodcast.com.
Nice.
Let me know. Otherwise, I'm putting the order in the next couple of days. Okay.
Love
I got to get the cake in. I got to do everything. But I'm stressed.
I'm sorry.
I'm super stressed.
Okay.
I am. And I'm doing it on a budget, right? We're at the back end of a divorce over here. We've gotten through all this time. It costs a lot of money to send her to Mother Macaulay. Like there's always a little personal sacrifice around here. And now I'm throwing a party and I don't know where to start because one, this house does not have a woman's touch anymore. It looks like a dormitory.
I didn't notice. You're doing fine.
There's a teenage boy, a younger version who thinks he's a teenage boy, and then my poor daughter who walks around this house and goes, "This place is a pigsty." So
you know, I have 3 sons, right, Chris?
Yeah,
3.
You're there. You see what I'm saying?
I live
right.
Yeah.
I'm still a boy at heart, so there are times where I go, "That's clean enough." That's good. Yeah, I use the phrase "good enough for government work." That my dad used to say it all the time. I do that all the time. Yep. So now I have to get my act together. And get this party going. So you're a professional organizer.
I am.
Where do I start?
Okay. First of all, you're doing great. You got the people. You're doing it for the good reasons. You've got like the idea. We want to celebrate Audrey because she's awesome, right? Yeah. You've got the food. So I'm guessing if you've got food and you've got catering planned, do you have a ballpark figure of numbers of people?
I'm going to have 40 to 50 people here.
Okay.
That's what I think I've got coming.
Okay.
I've got a lot of people who haven't responded yet to the invite that I'm like, they're coming.
Of course.
Like they're popping through. So I'm going to I'm rounding the 40 to 50 right now.
Fair enough.
And I'm saying, okay, that's good enough. You always have leftovers with the food.
I love party leftovers.
Yeah, but
we count on that.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm not worried about that.
Yes.
Like I figured out my number and I said, okay, this is what I've got to order. And I picked out what I want to get. And so I feel good about that at least.
Good.
And then I went to Mariano's and I haven't decided where I'm getting the cake from, but I just happened to be there last night.
Sure.
And I was like, what's a sheet cake run for? I'm trying to like get an idea because I've never done this before, right? Like I was like, I'd go to Wolf's, I'd go to Mariano's, I'd go to Costco. There's a bunch of different places I could go to.
Absolutely.
And I'm like, well, what's a sheet cake? And the girl's like, well, there's one that does 40 people and there's one that does 80. And I'm like, we'll just cut the pieces smaller and get the 40.
Not everybody eats cake. Not everybody eats cake, but then there's like the kids who eat like 3 pieces.
Right. No.
But there won't be people. Okay.
We may have 50 people there, but we're going to have cake for 40 because I'm not buying cake for 80 and having cake later at my house.
No, oh my gosh.
Right.
And where do you put the darn thing? That's so big. It doesn't fit in the fridge.
Right.
Like
exactly.
It's got to be not refrigerate. Oh my gosh.
So it's food first is what you would tell people if they're planning a party. Because there's a lot of people right now trying to plan their parties.
I got you. So you have location.
Yeah.
You have numbers,
yeah.
right? So numbers and location and reason kind of all go together.
Okay.
Right? So I got to tell you, you are 75% of the way there.
Okay, good.
You're doing great.
Good. That's
doing great,
yeah.
Right? Okay. So, by the way, we have folding chairs and tables if you want to borrow them.
Awesome. That's one thing that it's so weird to say. And look, this is not a slight, but one of the things that I gave when we were splitting things up was all the patio furniture. And I'm like, now I have nothing for people coming over. So people
bring your own chair.
People are contributing chairs. I mean, we never had a lot of chairs to begin with, but it's funny. It's like one of those things where I'm like, now I need patio furniture. Okay. Like I have to do these things. So like, yeah. So yeah, I think that, like I said, there's a bunch of chairs because people are dropping off chairs. No, and I may take you up on it.
Okay. We can do that like off,
Yeah, we'll do that off
podcast.
So that's the next thing then.
But
if you're organizing a party, figure out your reason, your number, your food, and then figure out where they're going to sit.
Yes. If they're going to sit, where they're going to sit, if it's inside, if it's outside. I always like to think that most people aren't coming to my house just to like, do a dust bunny check or something. You know what I mean? I go to a party to have fun with the people.
Oh, if somebody comes and dust bunny checks me.
Right. You're like, forget that.
Yeah.
Clean enough is clean enough.
I feel like I got a built-in excuse.
You're good.
Yeah, okay.
You're going to be fine.
Right.
So yeah, making sure that there's some place for them to sit. Tables, tables for the shrine, the homage.
Right. There's got to be
your fantastic.
Oh no,
grad.
I got to do an homage. I don't have an homage.
I'm totally kidding.
Okay.
But like,
I don't have an homage. If I got to create an homage, just another thing on my list.
Really?
Do, right?
We need an Audrey shrine. But like, where are the certificates? Where's the? You know what I mean? If there's like, even if it's just
I've got to get that together. Oh my goodness!
No pressure. Okay. That's easy.
All right.
That's decorations without having to do anything.
My mother got a big giant card, and she's like, "Everybody can sign that." So okay, all right.
Done.
Now, are you a big believer when you're doing a party of organizing the house into like party mode? Like I'm considering taking the kitchen table and removing all the chairs from it, so everything can be laid out in that area.
Absolutely.
We'll find someplace else to sit. Nobody's going to sit at this table.
Beautiful. No, I think that's brilliant.
Okay.
Kind
of like rearrange things like that.
Yeah.
Like, sure, there's room in the living room if people want to hang out there. Yeah. And there's room in the basement, of course, with the bar where you're sitting right now.
Of course.
There will be people gathered down here.
Sure.
They'll be sitting around the bar stools. By the way, you're invited. I forgot to invite you. You're invited. Okay, but like stop by,
absolutely.
Come on by, have some
bring
food.
Chairs.
Bring chairs.
And,
if you have chairs, you can be invited to the party, folks.
I'll bring cake. And I'll bring a dessert.
If you're bringing something, you can get into this party. That's like how I'm going to do it. Like if you're bringing something, you can get it. But most of the people I want to throw outside.
Absolutely.
So I want to throw up a tent and I want to put out some tables and I want to be outside. Yeah.
Of course.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean like basics, right? People they don't need to eat, but like they're coming here, they're coming for an event. They know why, they know when, you know how many. You've got the food. You will have a cake by then. I like the idea of taking things away from the table, and usually like one of the things I do maybe a day or two before the food all starts showing up is I just ruthlessly clean the fridge.
Okay.
Because you're going to need space to put some things.
When I went shopping this weekend, I actually thought to myself, what do I need? Because I don't want to do any big shopping.
Right. You don't want to go to Costco now for like day to day.
Right.
Because you're also going to have to go there for like big, party trays or whatever, things like that. So I got some of those too. You just let me know, Chris.
All right.
I got stuff.
See, everybody thinks this is an interview for your entertainment, but it's just a way to get Colleen to play in my party
and
to bring me stuff that I need.
And also to say you're much closer than you think.
Okay.
Like you really are. And I got a 10.
Well, I got
a 10 by 10. Just let me know.
All right. I got those. Because the broadcast basement goes out and does events, and I've got tents and tables and all that other stuff. So I can use all the company stuff for the party.
Nice.
Just don't tell the IRS.
I won't tell.
Okay, but yeah, that's what we'll do. So, but I have a 16-year-old, so like he's going to be given a list, like mow the lawn, edge this, clean this up.
Oh, you got people.
telling me he's not feeling good today, and he's got a robotics competition on Saturday, the day before the party on Sunday. And I'm like, well, then you've got work to be done this week. Because you're not getting out of it.
You can lay in bed for the next 12 hours,
right,
and then
it's
you better
to work.
get to work.
Then you got to get to work.
So I think that we had talked about in past discussions about parties, the Post-it notes on our cabinet door.
Yes.
So like a lot of what you could do, I mean, the day of and the day before are busy, but I'm sure there are things that you can do this week going up to that day to knock things off the list to make it easier for yourself on,
But
Saturday,
this is a listing
Sunday.
thing. Like if I make a big giant list or do your Post-it note thing where you're ripping the Post-it notes off.
Okay.
This is a listing type event, right? I've really got,
especially
because I
if
feel
you've
like I
got
don't
people.
have a list right now.
Oh,
I feel like
okay.
I'm doing it in my head.
Oh.
And I'm like, all right, I got to do this. I got to do that. I got to do this. And I find myself also, and I feel guilty for it. Like my mother had to give me a speech yesterday. She's like, Christopher,
You're
allowed. Yeah, that's
the whole name. You're in
the whole
trouble
name.
then.
Well, no,
Yeah.
if she goes Christopher Edward, then I'm in trouble.
Right.
Christopher, she's trying to make a point. Christopher Edward is, you better duck. Because my fist is coming up, okay?
I'm
even
a mom.
now, even
Totally
now at
get it.
47, I get nervous when Christopher Edward is spoken.
Absolutely
I get nervous. Okay?
Both names matter.
Yeah, okay, but she was like, you have to take help. Like because I'm one of those people who's always
Yes.
determined to prove that I can do it on my own.
Of course you can.
And
you
she's
can.
like, take chairs,
You
take
don't have
help,
to.
let somebody bring this for you, tell
Yes.
people what you need.
Beautiful.
And I'm like, but I don't like that's where my
I know.
big hang up is. So if I made a list, it would probably be easier for me then to say, okay, can you bring this or can you do it?
Absolutely. And so like if you place the food order, maybe you pay it, you give them your credit card and someone else can go get it the day of,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Like, okay, it's already paid for. You know how to drive. Maybe it's one of the kids or maybe it's your
Would you
mom
have the
or one of
caterer
your-
bring the food, or would you get the
Well,
food since it's right up the block
you said
here
Baracos?
before people come over? Like, would you go just pick it up and bring it and put it over those little things and
I
heat
can see
it?
Baracos from my front step.
Right, so you'd go get it,
We
right?
go get
You
it.
wouldn't deliver.
We
if it's
don't.
right there.
And I got to think that on a Sunday in May,
Right.
there's going to be other people
But if I'm
having
like, I'm coming to
parties.
pick it up, I'm going to walk up, grab it all, get it over there before people walk in the
Yeah,
door. That's what I'm
absolutely.
thinking about doing.
But like I said, let somebody else go get it. Like you take care of it.
Give
and
somebody a job.
Give somebody that's a job. So
Right.
I like the idea of
Am I allowed to
getting
make
it out
the
of your
girl
brain.
who the parties for do work? Can I tell
Me
her?
personally?
Can I tell
Absolutely.
Audrey, because she has a driver's license, go get this before the party?
Like I said, me personally, yeah,
So
absolutely.
you'd send one of your sons, like, I know this is your day. Go pick this up.
Was I vacuuming yesterday before the Mother's Day lunch
Oh,
at my house?
There you go. Okay.
Did
so
I
yeah.
unload the dishwasher?
Right.
Do I mind at all?
So they can
No,
help.
Of course they
Okay.
can. But you got to get it out of your brain.
Okay.
And into a list, or like I said, the Post-its that I've talked about before. Nobody can help you. And 27 people are going to come and ask you for advice all at the same time. So if you've already distributed some of those ideas, like on the list or on the, like giving them their assignments the day ahead or something like that, then you are not as stressed the day of.
All right. One other question for you
Yeah.
before we wrap
Does
this
that
up.
help? Okay. Okay.
My sister, I think, may be a psycho when it comes to parties. I love her. But the last time I saw her have a party, she actually busted out these disposable containers for leftovers and dished out leftovers to everybody walking out of the place.
Of course.
Is that crazy? No, you don't think it's crazy. I can see by looking at your face. You're like, I do that. You do that too. So is that something I should be prepared to do?
So, okay.
Is that the new normal at parties that people are expecting you to get a doggy bag? Is that what I'm asking?
Okay, so you should never expect a doggy bag.
Okay.
I love party leftovers. Seriously, there are days we would starve. I don't plan on cooking today. The leftovers from yesterday will be plenty.
Okay.
No. And my son took me out to breakfast this morning for Mother's Day.
That's sweet of him.
It was wonderful.
Why not yesterday?
Because he works. He's
Okay.
the actor, and he
Okay.
had a show.
All right. I just wanted to make sure he had a valid excuse and
He
it
had a
wasn't that he forgot.
He's working. We always want our kids to say, "I'm sorry, I can't be there. I am working." It's beautiful. So yes, he came in last night and he took me out to breakfast this morning. It was lovely. But so yes, nobody should expect leftovers but we have taken to keeping, I don't know, like the black ones with the cover on it that you get like,
Yeah. That's what she is.
It is absolutely not required. But if you think that stuff might be going home with people, it's better to give them
I hope there's
the
stuff coming home from
disposable
people.
stuff.
Like, I'm still one of those people who's like, I
Yeah.
hope I figured this out correctly, the amount of
Yeah.
food that I need.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I'll be ordering pizzas 2 hours later.
And that's okay too.
Yeah.
But disposable is better than like your own stuff that you don't want to lose.
Okay.
So yeah, not required. I'm not going to judge your sister though, because again,
No,
like
that's for
lots
me
of
to
people
do.
do that. Yeah, I'm sure she's a lovely person. So you can judge what you want to judge. I am laughing because we totally do the same thing. So does that mean I'm a psycho?
Yeah, well, it
too?
might be a little psychotic. Like, I mean, like I'm focusing on the party, and there are some people that are so organized, like you and my sister, that you're focusing on the after party and the cleanup
of
before you even
course.
start the. I'm not even thinking of any of that. Like, my biggest concern is, do I buy cases of beer or get a keg?
Oh, I have a really big white cooler too.
Okay.
Like a really big one.
You're definitely invited because I'm going to take all your stuff.
You know what? You don't even have to be invited. You can still borrow it. I'm good. We call it a coffin cooler. It's ginormous. It's yours.
It's a coffin cooler?
Well, no, it's not. I
Because you
mean,
can
we
put
call
somebody
it.
in the cooler. I
We
worry
try-
about your husband.
Now it's recorded. No, he knows. He knows the coffin cooler too. But it's seating. It's huge. You can borrow it, and you don't even have to invite me. You can still borrow it. So he's fine. It's his cooler too.
Oh, yeah. In perpetuity.
It's
forever.
Yeah, it's all safe.
It's the EP podcast. All things Evergreen Park. It's the EP podcast. Evergreen Park.